Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Claire, and if you're new here, I talk all about how to use planning and organization to start to shift your life into authentic alignment with your soul's purpose. And every Sunday, I sit down, I pick a topic, and I kind of consider this like my Sunday sit downs. I just talk through a topic that's on my mind, and it does actually align with my newsletter and with my weekly blog posts. Each week I have kind of a topic or a theme, and I like to dig into it a little bit. I love to get conversations going, so if you do have any feedback, please do leave it in the comments. And if you're new here, I would love it if you would subscribe and join our little family that we have here on YouTube. So, with today being the very end of October 30th, Halloween is tomorrow, and it got me thinking a little bit about preparing for all of the madness of the kind of autumn and winter seasons and all of the festivities that we kind of have to start to bring light and joy back into our lives at a time when it is darkest, at least in the northern hemisphere. So, at the beginning of October, we do have Canadian Thanksgiving. I am Canadian, so I went home for Thanksgiving, which was beautiful. It was my first Thanksgiving home since 2018, I believe. So, being quite a while, it was just nice to be home and with family to celebrate that. A couple people were missing, but overall, it was just a beautiful kind of casual Thanksgiving get together with immediate family. And then, of course, tomorrow we have Halloween, all of the costumes, the trick or treating, if that happens in your part of the world, and just that kind of excitement building up to that. If you do have children, they would be dressing up, and you may be dressing up yourself. There may be parties that you're attending. And then, as we move into November, if you're American, you've got your US Thanksgiving. I do currently live in the US, so we have that as well here. However, we are not close to any family on the US side. All of the family that we have is in Maine, whereas my husband and I are currently in Washington State. So we will likely do a little bit of a dinner, but I know that's a very busy, very big celebration for Americans. And a lot of you may have a lot to coordinate, and it may be a little bit overwhelming for you. And then, of course, at the end of November, if you count this, you've got your Black Friday, your Cyber Monday, which for some people, that can be a very big thing that they potentially even budget for, be able to make their big splurges, get started on their Christmas shopping, or any other shopping they may need to do. And then going into December, we have Christmas, we have New Year's Eve, and there are many other celebrations if you're of a different faith that may fall kind of within this season as well, such as like Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and I'm sure so many others that people are celebrating from different cultures, different religions, and all of that. However, I do feel like the theme for so many of us is just that this kind of 2 to 3 month period, it's very busy. It's a lot of extra commitments, a lot of extra things on your plate, and although they are joy-filled things, it can feel a tad overwhelming when you're still trying to balance your day-to-day normal life along with these things. And so I just wanted to chat a little bit about how do you balance it? Where do you find the lines? Do you kind of pull back on your standard obligations? Do you pull back on maybe the goals that you would typically have? Maybe you draw them in a little bit so you don't have as much to do so you can focus on the celebrations. Like, what do you do? I would love to hear in the comments what your kind of approach is for this. So typically, what I do is I would kind of do my typical goals and all of that. And then the last 2 weeks of December would kind of be like my period where I would try to rest and recuperate, especially that week in between Christmas and New Year's, and just kind of allow myself to recharge for that time, actually enjoy being in the moment within those celebrations and that week in between. And then also kind of building myself up as we head into a new year, a new chapter of our lives, a new quarter. And just again, give myself that space to be able to enjoy that time and enjoy my life which is probably something that, to be honest, we should all be doing more of kind of throughout the year, not just kind of taking a step back on things during the specific holidays that are happening, but honoring ourselves and our lives and seeing the beauty throughout the year. And kind of having those different periods where we do step back, retreat into ourselves, or just into our life that we live a little bit and really enjoy the beauty that surrounds us and the love that surrounds us. I feel is such a powerful thing that we probably should be doing it more often than a lot of us are. And so, as I mentioned, it's Halloween tomorrow. It may have already passed by the time you are seeing this video, but are you dressing up? What are you doing? Are your children dressing up? Are you dressing your pets up? I would love to hear, like, what are your costumes you have in mind? Halloween is such a fun time of year. I don't currently have a costume planned, but we are finally in an area where I am hoping we get trick-or-treaters because we haven't lived anywhere where there are children that come and knock on our door to trick-or-treat for a few years. So I would just love to be able to kind of be part of that experience, see all of the costumes and all the joy that the children are experiencing as they're going door to door, the excitement around the holiday and all of that you can kind of miss if you're not somewhere that does have trick-or-treaters, or you're not somewhere that's immersed in that energy in that kind of area where that happens. So I'm really looking forward to that. I am hoping to dress up a little bit. Probably won't be anything too crazy, but just something so that it's a little bit more fun when I'm answering the door for the kids and for myself, and just, throwing myself into the experience a little bit. So in terms of like my personal goals, I do have a lot of things that are coming up to deadlines, as I mentioned before. So I've got a big deadline the second week of November, and then I've also got a really big deadline the second week of December where I have a lot of stuff that is coming to an end for school. So I know my next 6 weeks is going to be very busy, but how I'm personally going to balance that is I know once my school and my other obligations kind of come to a close in the kind of the end of the first week of December, I am planning to, for that last 3 weeks, aside from my actual obligations, my day to day maintenance, and all the things I need to do there, I'm going to really kind of take a step back and allow myself that time to really enjoy the magic that is December, the magic that is all around us, immerse myself in the Christmas spirit, so to speak, and just really try to enjoy that time and allow myself to pause and rest and just be essentially outside of like my actual obligations in life. So that's my plan. And I would love again to hear, like, do you have a lot of things coming up? Are you able to pause to even celebrate the holidays? Are you somebody that prefers not to? Maybe it's not a positive time of the year for you, and it's maybe a time of struggle or hardship, and it brings up a lot of emotions. And that might be something where maybe you do want to be a little bit busier to distract yourself, and it's all totally something that we need to align with our own needs, our own lives, and what we're currently going through and processing. But I do hope that you do have loved ones that you are able to surround yourselves with, especially those who may struggle a little bit more with the holiday season. And then as we do get through to December, I also feel it's a very exciting time for a lot of people. There's a lot of people that do kind of like a New Year's resolutions. What are you wanting to accomplish for the year? And although I've talked about this before, I do prefer to do quarterly goals just to allow myself that flexibility and a little bit more accountability to get through it. I do love to do a yearly vision board. So at the end of December, I will go through and I'll kind of think about what would I ultimately like to achieve the year ahead, and even dream big on those. If my wildest dreams came true this year, what would that look like? And I like to kind of go to a thrift store, get some old magazines, cut them up, put them on a poster board, and just really bring in that energy and that manifestation and that feeling of abundance, and knowing that I can bring these different things into my life even if they feel unattainable now. And I feel like that's a really powerful exercise. And I would say if you haven't done a vision board, it's a really fun thing to do. We will often do them as a family at a table. We all go to poster board. We'll all sit on the couch, cut out our different pictures, and then create our boards, which for each of us looks very different. But it's just a really fun thing to do, especially if you're able to do it in kind of a lighthearted way and really enjoy the process and do it kind of as a group. This year, I will be at home, so I will likely do it kind of by myself, but it's still a powerful experience to do. It's still something that's very fun to do. And I would encourage anybody who is interested in doing a vision board or you're kind of curious about it to have a look at what it is and kind of go through the process of making one. It can just be pictures that you print out that you put on a cork board. It can be something that maybe you're drawing on the pictures. It can be really anything that's providing you with that visual representation of what you're wanting to accomplish. And then you could put it on your wall, you could put it somewhere that you see it frequently, so that even if you're not consciously looking at it, your subconscious is picking it up. And it's just such a wonderful thing to kind of have in your space and remind you of what you are pursuing and what's important to you. And so I would highly encourage that you look into that. But getting back to kind of like the seasonal element of things, I would really love to hear what you maybe struggle with finding the balance in for the season. Do you find that you allow yourself to really experience the joy of it, or do you feel like it's more of a stress and an overwhelm because you're trying to take on too much and it's being built up to this thing that you don't feel like you're really able to meet the expectations on? Because sometimes that can be the case. Is it something that you kind of strive for perfection a little bit too much, or is it something where you really enjoy the simple things and try to enjoy the spirit behind it rather than all of the elements and the physical things and activities that you're doing? So I would love just to hear what your experience is. What holidays do you celebrate? What is your feeling behind them? Do you find that they stress you out? Do you find that you're able to really experience the joy and the intention behind the holiday? Just share it in the comments below. If you did make it this far and you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate if you could give it a like. Again, if you're not already, please subscribe and you can hit the notification bell if you want to be updated each time I upload. And as always, I am wishing you a beautiful week ahead.